and welcome to everything we know about CyberPunk 2077 so far. CyberPunk 2077 was first announced, or teased rather, back in 2012 with the image that is hopefully going to be on the screen. If not, it's like a woman with like weird spikes coming out of her arm. Anyway, it was first announced back in 2012, and currently we don't know exactly when it's going to be released, but we think it's going to be either the late 2019, 2020 sometime, or late, like the latest it's going to release is 2021, unless something weird happens with the development or whatever. It's pretty likely it'll be sooner rather than later though, as the lead story and dialogue and all that designer has left for Blizzard. I don't know what Blizzard's making with him, but he's left, so it's pretty likely that all they're doing now is kind of finishing things up or doing assets and stuff, because they're mainly finished with the story and things like that. Unlike The Witcher 3, Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be in first person. The Witcher 3 was in third person, but the reason that the developers want Cyberpunk 2077 to be in first person is because they want it to feel more like you're actually there and you're actually being the character, because you're not playing a predetermined character like The Witcher 3. In this one, V, the player character, is you, as in like what you want them to be. There's not really a story to do with their, it's not to do with their backstory, it's to do with their now story that you control, if that makes sense. But as a part of that, you also get to decide how the character plays. You could be like, in the gameplay trailer, you can be a cyber ninja, or just like someone that moves around quickly, has a lot of dexterity, and kind of slides across the floor, has slow motion matrix things and all that. Or you could go with a more slow, heavy-handed kind of character, I guess. They haven't shown that, but they've said that there's going to be loads of different abilities and things like that, and that you can play like you want to play. You can play it stealthy, you can go in guns blazing, and something that also kind of reflects that is the dialogue and stuff like that, where you have different, obviously, dialogue options like in pretty much every other RPG, but they're trying to make it so that with those dialogue options and also gameplay, there's more ways for the mission to play out. There's not, in The Witcher 3 there was usually about 3 ways the mission could end, but in Cyberpunk they're aiming to have at least 5 for most of the missions, and that kind of just influences it. Also, something I almost forgot is they've got it so that if you fail a mission, you don't just restart the mission, it just carries on. So if you fail and one of your friends dies in the mission, then they're permanently dead unless you go back to a previous save point, which is pretty interesting. And obviously that kind of does make the whole choices thing matter even more, which has been an emphasis in games for quite a while at this point in games. If I just go back to the first person gameplay bit for a second, Lucas Lukwinek, or something like that, he's Polish, I don't know how to pronounce it. He's a professional, or was a professional, Counter-Strike Global Offensive player, which was one of the most like renowned, or whatever you call it, competitive first-person shooters on the market up until recently, at which point it's kind of fallen off in popularity and stuff. But whatever, he's very good at games, and he's been hired for quite a while now by CD Projekt Red to kind of test the mechanics and all that, to make sure they're as good as they can be, and make sure there's lots of diversity in the weapons and they all work as they should and things like that, which is a good sign, most likely, the quality of the game. Just quickly in between bits, Cyberpunk 2077 staff kind of thing has just under double the amount of the people that worked on The Witcher 3, which means they're probably making quite a bit more, or they're doing quite a bit more than they did with The Witcher 3. Unlike in The Witcher 3, in Cyberpunk 2077, you can customize like what your character looks like. You can choose what gender they are, you can choose what their hair looks like, their tattoos, and what clothes they wear, obviously, but you can do that in The Witcher 3 in pretty much every single game. Anyway, so that doesn't really change much, but you can pick quite a bit. But the main part of it is more the backstory and what your character's like for customization, because you can't really change what their face, like the bone structure or anything. As you can probably see now, you can choose between some stats for how much you want in each, like in D&D and stuff. You can choose between strength, intelligence, a stat called Cool, Tech, and Reflexes. Cool is probably more to do with street cred and charisma and things like that than actually being old. But you also get to choose your backstory, which CD Projekt Red has said will affect how people treat you or you treat other people and stuff. I can't remember what the backstories are, but you can choose them, and they're probably going to change by the time the game releases anyway. As with other parts of the game, CD Projekt Red has also tried to make advancements in the dialogue parts of game, which in the past has been more kind of the parts that you don't want to have in it, because they break up the gameplay, they stop you from actually being in the action because they pull you into a separate kind of cutscene. But in Cyberpunk 2077 it's different, it's more fluid, as in, so we'll have an example. You're in the gang in the demo. Basically, if you look at the character, the dialogue prompts turn up on the screen, but if you don't look at them, as in you can turn away from them, you stay in first person as well, and if you don't look at them, you can do whatever, you can look at anywhere, and you can still be in the conversation, listening to them and whatever, and just look at them when you want to talk. But you can also say in the gang scene, you can draw your weapon halfway through when the conversation starts to take a turn for the worse almost. And you can carry on talking to them and try and de-escalate the situation, or just open fire. And you don't have to press the speech dialogue option thing. You can literally just open fire because you're not in a cutscene, you're in the game. And that's kind of just more fluid in that sense. Just like Deus Ex Mankind Divided and all the other Deus Ex ones, there's plenty of cool cybernetic or whatever gadgets that you can unlock and get during the game, including like sword arms, like with the announcement picture that lady had. There's also things that you can get in your eyes, like eye implants that tell you the levels of things, which is kind of normal for games like this. There's one where you can wall run with it. There's one where you can use bullet time, so it like slows it down for when you shoot. There's one where you can do double jumps. There's one where you can like dash forwards quickly, like, I don't know, an example in another game that I can't think of. You can also get robots, like RC robots that you can control, which would be cool as well. And there's also those, I'm not sure whether those are military grade stuff or not, but CD Projekt Red has said that you can get illegal military grade tech as well, which I can imagine that'd be some fun high level stuff to get. Cyberpunk 2077, as I said earlier, I think, takes place in Night City, and obviously one city isn't going to be as big as the whole Witcher 3 kind of area thing. That isn't necessarily a problem, as the developer CD Projekt Red have been saying that they're more focused on verticality with this one, because obviously there's loads of skyscrapers in this, and each building will have loads of different activities to do. And now obviously all of them you won't be able to be allowed into, but I can imagine that it'll be a lot more than, say, the Spider-Man game that I really enjoyed, but you couldn't really go in most of the buildings because they're just there for environments, just to travel past and stuff. Anyway, Night City is split up into 6 districts, and to help you kind of travel around that quicker, there will be vehicles in the game. We know there's cars and probably bikes. We don't know whether you'll be able to drive the flying cars that were shown in the game or not, but you'll probably be able to see them as you go around. But as you kind of go around in the vehicles and such, you will have a chance of being attacked by people, as shown in the demo, where they were in a car and then they had a cool on-rails segment where V was shooting at the people that were trying to attack her, whilst Jackie, one of the companions you'll be able to have in the game, was driving the car for you. Quickly, CD Projekt Red has said there will be multiplayer for Cyberpunk 2077, although they haven't exactly made it clear as to what that will be. But don't worry, they have made it very clear that there won't be any microtransactions to do with it. It's not clear how dynamic it actually is, because obviously we've only seen it in a demo really, but the streets are absolutely bustling with life, with people play fighting, actually fighting, laughing, talking, just walking by. It was just very lively, and as it should be in a city. It's not clear as to whether this will stay, but it probably will, as it's kind of a neat feature to have, even if it's not too important, I would say, personally. But say the interactivity of the environment, say you see an advertisement for a weapon that you like the look of, you can basically just walk up to it and touch the advertisement or interact with it, and it'll come up with that, where to purchase it on the website and stuff, on the HUD, or possibly where it is in the city to buy it if it's in a shop. and it also to do with the interacting with the environment is weapons and how they kind of destroy it. In the opening bits of the game, you see that when V shoots a wall, some of the wall kind of crumbles away. You don't know whether that's going to be like, if you blow up the pillar, whether it'll actually blow up and you could then bring the building down. I don't think it'll be to that extent, but it is still kind of cool to see you have an effect on the environment. Anyway, that's about it for this video. Tell me if I missed anything, I guess, but if I haven't, just, I guess don't say anything. You can if you want. If you like this video, I do use videos that'll be kind of like this once a week. The next one will be up tomorrow or the day after, depending on when I actually do it. But if you liked it, like it. If you didn't, whatever. I'll see you next time, I guess. Bye.